Autumnwatch is back on BBC Two this evening, and our environment correspondent David Gregory-Kumar has been searching out the region's best seasonal stories. He kicks off this week with the Sloe, because it's been a bumper year for berries, and that's good news both for wildlife and for one rather adventurous chef.
Sloes are the fruit of the blackthorn bush, and this Worcestershire hedgerow is absolutely groaning with them.
So why has it been such a bumper year?
Well, it's all down to pollinators, as with most fruiting plants. And this year the weather conditions were just right when the pollinators were out.
So lots of flowers are pollinated, and that means lots of berries later on in the year?
Lots of berries.
In very early spring, blackthorn is a vital food source for insects because it flowers so early. And many, many months later, slow by name, slow by nature, the resulting fruit, the sloe, is also a valuable food source.
So Harry, there's lots of sloes for you to pick, but is that good news for wildlife as well?
Yes, in the autumn some birds go for these. You see the stone in there. The birds actually swallow those down, but they can't digest them. When they're lying on the ground, wood mice probably collect the stones and nibble into the side and eat the kernels.
So if you leave them, you might see all sorts of wildlife?
If you're very lucky, yes.
So if the birds and the mice like the sloes, what about picking a few to eat at home?
Sloes are actually quite bitter tasting, so they do make a really good ingredient to stick into gin. This will be ready for Christmas, but given there are so many around this year, can you do anything else with them?
Well, despite their rather bitter taste, in Birmingham one restaurant has created a whole menu based around sloes. But how do you cook one of our most astringent fruits?
They taste like... that's why you kind of bring in the vinegar or alcohol, because that's going to obviously break them down. It'll get you over the texture of raw sloes, which can be a little bit of an intense thing.
On the menu, sloe and pine steamed fish and a sausage roll made with duck, and of course...
Sloe berries, which we pickle very slightly. They do still have a stone, so be a little bit careful.
And what is a menu made of sloes without sloe gin cocktails to go with it, created with Birmingham gin?
So the perfect sloe gin cocktail, 50 ml of Langley's No. 8 gin in. We've got some sloe gin, we're going to add 25 ml of that. Then I've got some homemade sugar syrup. We just put a spoonful of that in. We're going to add homemade apple juice. And then finally, cream soda.
Okay.
That's amazing. You make gin, but would you make sloe gin sort of commercially, or is that difficult?
Well, it's very difficult to do commercially because every single year your sloes are different. So this year we've had a really warm end to September. There's been a lot of sun, so that means the sloes are going to be a lot sweeter this year. So that's going to change the ratios, how much sugar you use for each gin. So you'll never get a consistent batch. So what you almost want to do is treat it like a wine and have a vintage.
Sloes are unsung hedgerow heroes, feeding wildlife and providing us with a taste of mellow autumn all through the darkness of winter.
And David joins us now from an orchard in Worcestershire. It's been a good year for fruit in general, hasn't it, David?
Has indeed, Nick. There is plenty of sloes and plenty of apples in this community orchard, but that is a bit of a problem in Hanley Swan, the community behind me. Picking more apples, Jackie, because you've got a lot of them here.
We have. We've been juicing for 3 years now. The first year we had 360, which was a shock and a surprise. It was many. The next year we had 160, and this year we've got 762 bottles of juice.
762 bottles of juice. You've got some there. What are you going to do with it? What do you sell it for?
Well, previously we've sold it to the local community. There aren't enough people to drink this amount of apple juice, so now we've got a Facebook page. Other people have actually given us apples in the local area, so we've actually got to sell 1,432 bottles.
And what do you do with the money? Why do you need it?
We need it because boring things like insurance, because we open the orchard up so that schools can come here, both the primary and local secondary school come. We have picnics, we bring people in, we have projects here. We also need to label the trees because we've got lots of heritage varieties, and we'd like to improve the fence at the back.
And very briefly, how did you end up with your own orchard in the village?
A lovely lady lives down the road called Vera, and her late husband planted it 32 years ago. She can't eat that many apples. She wants people to enjoy it. She's given it to us as the villagers.
Well, we wish you all the luck with getting rid of your juice this year. There is plenty around. Everyone's got lots of apples this year. Tomorrow on Autumnwatch, we'll be looking at the disappearing salt marsh of Worcester, just off the M5. Back to you, Nick.
David, thank you.